Welcome back. Another edition of Down and Back, CornDoug, and you can see I got to learn to start pointing the right way. Like I'm gonna blame it on the COVID head, but still I'm gonna point this way. The voice returns of Cornhole, Mr. Donald McPhee. Donnie, how you doing?
Hello, friends. What's happening, CornDoug?
Not much. So you've had a bit of a change go on here.
Yeah, so, listen, life is a little different right now, just like everybody in the cornhole world right now. And, kind of the new normal right now for me is I am running solo right now. So we have retired the Dogcast for right now. It's not gone, not forgotten. It's just on the back burner right now. The other boys had a lot of stuff going on and needed some time. So we are putting that on hiatus, and I am starting a new venture all by myself.
Well, so, I got to participate in your first live feed. That was kind of fun.
Yes, Doug actually had to help me with a lot of my software glitches because I was trying to learn how to use StreamYard and record and put it up and figure out how to link it to Facebook. So it has been a learning curve, let's say, Doug, over the last 2 weeks.
Well, I think for myself, I'm like almost 3 years into this now, and it's still a learning curve for me. But still, like, you said, the other guys, they had the other stuff going on, and I think and we've talked about this before. That's what people don't know about this. They think it's so easy. You're going to get someone, come on, we'll talk, and there it goes. But there's way more prep going into all of this than what people actually know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, when you start doing something like this, no matter if it's on like a grand scale, like the ACL is doing right now, or in the smaller scale, what we're doing, you're talking, just the podcast alone, just to get it up and running and doing everything. You're talking that's at least minimum 10 to 12 hours a week, right? Between editing, figuring out who your guest is going to be, figuring out what you're going to try to talk about. I mean, that's 10 to 12 hours right there.
Yeah.
Then you have a full-time job.
Yep.
Then you have a family. And then you got to fit in watching all of these games and learning, the intricacies of the shots and different bags and different board conditions. And I mean, you're talking, by the time you're said and done, just on cornhole alone, you're talking another 40 to 50 hours of just understanding, what you're going to talk about that week. And then you kind of do the same thing we did, Doug, is we don't script anything.
No.
Nothing was ever scripted. All we did was just turn the mics on, and we had a couple topics maybe that we would kind of talk about, but nobody knew what the other person was going to say. So we literally just, turned it on, started recording, and just went. No teleprompters, none of that other stuff. Just a couple quick notes. Make sure you drop the sponsors in every couple times. And just keep going, especially, one of the greatest sponsors in the world, Scorholio, as you can see behind me right there, but, shameless plug. But there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of side conversations that happen. I mean, I could show you my text thread, not just with you, but with a lot of other people from around the country of, talking to different bag makers, talking to different board makers, still doing other videos out there to promote sponsors of our show. And you're the same with promoting your sponsors. There's so much that goes into it. And then people get their feelings hurt, maybe when you don't talk about them sometimes, right? And, I always keep some notes in front of me. I mean, I got notes right here, but a lot of times I just go off on a tangent. I just start talking because I, sometimes get a little emotional, sometimes just run off at the mouth, some verbal diarrhea. As my old boss would say, I opened my mouth and my blue collar fell out.
Yeah.
But, it's tough because, you're trying to put a good product out and you're trying to please a lot of different people. And no matter what you do, you might not please everybody.
No, not at all. Because I got that last week. And if anyone's listening who wasn't listening last week, we talked about it off air. I should have probably had a teleprompter. I had the chance to get one. I could have went when I first started. They had emailed me about one, but I kind of went off on my own tangent and I circle talked a whole bunch. And I got one of my sponsors was like, "I can't listen to you last week. It was just you didn't just get to it already." And so this week that's why I brought you on, because you can bring some some stability. Can we say that?
Listen, if you're saying I'm stable, you got a problem.
But no, but exactly. When you're saying about talking about the prep and messaging with people, like I've got a show coming up with the. We just had the Canada versus Australia virtual tournament here, and I'm trying to get some of the guys from Australia to come on. So now I've now got the 17-hour time difference that I'm dealing with. Do I want to be working on my evening shift, go up and talk with the guys at like 1 a.m. here, or do we want to have them talking late? It's just and that's what we deal with.
Well, that's the hard part too, right? Because as you try to coordinate different guests from, especially where the game's growing, right? You talk about the, Cornhole World Order or whatever we call it right now. I don't know, the NWO. I have no idea what it is, right? But you start talking about that, and you start trying to bring in some of the, you bring Japan into it, you bring Australia into it. You're talking a vast time difference from where we are. Even you and myself have a couple hour time difference.
No, I think we're the same.
You the same? Really?
Yep.
Wow. Yep. I suck at geography then.
Yeah.
But like it's tough because like we talked to a lot of people from like California. California's 3 hours. So, when we're like, oh, it's easy, it's 8 o'clock, that's 6 o'clock their time. So it might not be as easy for the guest out there, where for us, we think, oh, well, everybody's home, everybody's had dinner, but that puts them right in dinner time with their family. So, how does that work? And you're trying to, readjust and keep moving. And then even just trying to sometimes move the conversation along.
Yep.
Or sometimes even just having a conversation. This game is in such its infancy right now that social media presence is more than interview presence. And what I mean by that right now is a lot of these players have a social media presence live streaming their games.
Yeah.
But that says nothing about their personality or how they can talk or how they can interact with a sponsor. So just posting your game online doesn't really mean a lot. It shows your talent, but it doesn't show who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a strong proponent of the ACL, the ACO, whoever it is, needs to have some social media classes and also some interview classes, right? Like you're a big wrestling guy.
Yep. Well,
you can't even do a promo in wrestling unless you like pass a certain test in like little like vignettes and stuff that you had to do without even being on air.
Yep.
So when you win a big tournament and then you have to talk on TV, literally I want to change the channel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a ton of deer in the headlights look, and you know what, and I'm gonna say for me, this show has helped me out because I'm gonna admit it. Before this show, I sucked, and if you look at my first couple of shows, I sucked at talking. I might still do it too, but I suck. But then now I'm getting more comfortable talking in front of a camera, talking just to a group of people. It's just you have to get that comfort level.
Yeah, but you need that comfort level, but you also need talking points at the same time too, right? Let's bring it back to your favorite sport, NASCAR. We've talked about this ad nauseum with NASCAR. Like the pictures at the end of NASCAR, where you do the 50 hats or 100 hats or whatever it is, because you got to get every sponsor in there. And you're not seeing that right now in Cornhole. You're seeing maybe the main sponsor being thanked or the sponsor that brought them there that weekend being thanked, but you're not seeing all the different sponsors kind of being shown in a special light during that brief. What you get, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds on ESPN or CBS for an interview. I mean, you need to get your talking points down quickly.
Yeah, and then and when you talk about sponsors, I know you were given something by one of my sponsors, the awesome Octane bags, which you can get on the octane.com, octanecornhole.com. It says it right down below there.
It's octanecornhole.com.
Yeah. Discount code CornDoug will get you 10% off of bags that look like, okay, not exactly like that,
but you can get
like that.
You can get some ignitions, which
are the brand new bags.
It is a great bag, great slick stick bag, really amazing bag to play with.
I actually, because of COVID, I really haven't played with them in about 8 months because I was part of the R&D. And then Matt kind of hid them for a bit. and then brought them back out while I was away with COVID. So I was like, oh, I haven't thrown them yet.
This is my favorite bag right now is Ignition right here. And you'll see I'm going to be putting up a video with some reviews on these bags. We got the Apex SS.
Yeah,
this is a fast bag.
And I know your favorite person and who'll be coming on the show here soon, PJ Sorrow, says it works as a great pillow as well. That soft side, that silky soft side, that's a nice pillow as well.
I've got some underwears that are but then you've got my next favorite bag is the Kinetic.
Yeah.
Love this bag. Great all-around bag to be able to play with.
Even with you got the new logo on there as well too.
Yes.
The new old school logo.
The new old school logo. And then you've got the Energy.
Yeah.
Another great bag
Which is a carpet style bag.
Carpet style, kind of double, a little bit, almost a double carpet, a little bit.
Yeah.
Great bag. And then a sexy, sexy bag. The Turbo SS.
They are my now go-to bag.
Not only is it a beautiful pink bag, but it is also the official Canadian Girls Play Cornhole bag. Look at that.
I know Holly and Karen, I know they'll be watching, and they will be very happy with you for that.
But this is also a great bag though, because you get a really good speed side.
Yeah.
But then you get kind of a medium sticks on this side. It's not necessarily like a slide right.
Yep.
Little more forgiving for a player that maybe doesn't have a flat bag, like myself.
Oh, and that's me as well too. And you know what? And it's great because people always ask me about bags, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is my issue with how bad I play. Is I get a bag that I like to feel, and then play with it. I'm not real big on if people ask you, well, what's this bag like? What's the speed rating? What's it compared to another bag? And I'm like, I just know the octane bags.
Well, listen, I'm the same. I don't do speed ratings. I don't do material. I can't tell you if this is a player's material or whatever material. I can tell you what it feels like, and I can tell you how it throws. My bag, depending on the night, depending on the Miller Lite, depends on how it actually comes in. So, it depends on, what bag I need to throw. My go-to bag all the time is I've got two bags that I'm really carrying with me right now. One is the Titan Bag Nightmare, and the other one is the Fire Vengeance, two other sponsors of our show. And because Matt sent these to me, I've been throwing these. These have, pretty good feel of almost like the Nightmare, a little bit different fast side. Plays in a little bit different conditions. Up here, where we're getting, colder weather, I've had to kind of switch bags out a little bit. That's why the Turbo SS has worked a little better this week. Yep. Because on a colder board, I need a little bit faster bag the way my bag comes in. But some amazing bags, like a really great lineup. So, if you go to Octane Cornhole, really check them out because I don't think there's a bad bag in the batch. I think it's got a bag for every player.
No, and as always, I have to apologize if you do throw CornDoug throwing them short, probably because I help fill the bags. I throw a couple of those in just to ease it up. And what I'm excited about is I was up at the shop the other night, and we're already starting R&D for next year's bags.
I love that.
Oh yeah. So
well, it's a big game right now, right? When you talk about the players in the game right now, really it's coming down to the equipment. Because you've got a bunch of players out there that play a certain bag, and I'm not going to mention the bag, but there's a bag out there that made players better. It might have changed the game. And some of the people that throw that bag, in most circles would be considered an intermediate or a competitive player. But because that bag is so hole friendly and they can keep it down the middle, they may be moved up to like an advanced level. But when you really look at it, do you know what the difference between advanced and competition competitive is in ACL standards?
It's like that.
It's 0.9.
Yeah. So
advanced should be an 8.14 or higher PPR, and a competitive player should be a 7.24 or higher PPR. See, and when you look at that margin, that's maybe 3 or 4 bags, maybe here or there during the game to get you there. But if you look at it between competitive and advanced, Advanced players should throw a 4-bagger 14.58% of the time. A competitive player, 7.61.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of your competitive players that are throwing, certain bags that are just really slick bags right down the middle, they're moving more towards advanced, but won't play advanced when they get to, competitive situations.
Yep.
They'll drop down a level.
Yeah.
So, I dropped down last year to playing competitive. I only played like three things last year. I did it to play with a friend who had soldier surgery, was a former ACL pro from around this area, Andy Gomes. We played a couple things together. I really wasn't too serious playing last year. I was really more worried about just getting out and meeting people. But this year, I'm back in advanced, and I'm doing some, going to be doing a lot of traveling this year, Doug. I know we've talked a lot about kind of trying to meet up in some certain places around the country. I have the Bag and Bash already planned. I've already got the Winnebago gassed up to go down to West Georgia, in Villarica, Georgia, for my birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
So me and my brother will be jumping in the Winnebago and heading down there for the weekend. We might meet up with Heath Jenkins from Gas House.
Yeah.
To park the camper in his front yard and stay there for the night, have a little barbecue, throw some bags, and then head on down there for the Bag and Bash for the rest of the weekend.
So what weekend is that then?
That is the 11th and 12th of March.
Okay, that's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, because that is my son's birthday weekend, which means I can't leave here. I already had the permission once. That didn't turn out well because I was home that night from Cleveland, and we're not going back there.
What do you mean, the city that shut down Cornhole?
Yes. Yeah. We're not going to talk about the podcast from there, the couple podcasts from there, because
Who?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's the bag game is just I can't even keep up with it anymore.
It's exploding. I mean, it's honestly it's getting crazy because there's so many bag manufacturers out there right now, and there's a lot of them that are doing it really well, and there's a lot of them that are just bag manufacturers.
Yep.
I actually had the pleasure of meeting the owner of Burley Bags the other night on a drinking Zoom call, and I got some really cool bags. I don't know if you saw if I posted them today.
Actually, I didn't tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got these ones. This is a really great carpet bag. Hunter sent out some bags and some patches. Thanks to him. But great bag, great seam. I mean, the seam, that's a really good seam right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I see a lot of people out there getting new bags, and I see a lot of people paying way too much money for bags.
Yes.
I mean, there's a certain couple manufacturers out there that people paying anywhere from $200 to $600 for bags. Why?
Exactly.
They're not going to be good to throw if you're playing ACL competition in 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, they'll get grandfathered in for a little bit, but they're going to be your favorite bag, and you're not going to want to play them anymore. And materials are changing so quickly. Why are you paying this much? Like, why are you paying over $70 for a set of bags? Why?
And my big thing is this ACL pro throws them, so I'm going to be able to throw exactly like him. No, you're not. You're still going to have that 50-cent throw. It's just you're going to have that better bag while you're doing it.
Well, you got to have a great bag, but you're never going to get. If you look at some of the best pros out there, I mean, you look at the Steve Bernasets, you look at the Tony Smiths, you look at the Matt guys, the Cody Hendersons, the Jeff Reynolds. They're all from different bag companies. You even look at Adrian Johnson, right? Each one of those throws a different bag company, but each one of those, their style of throw is so different from each other that they had to really find the bag that works for them.
Yep.
And each one of them actually worked with the manufacturer to get the bag perfect for them. Like you talk about research and development. I know Matt Guy has thrown thousands of bags testing, trying to find the right materials, right? Jamie Graham's thrown thousands of bags testing the material. So it's really like, yeah, those bags work for them and they're great, but to your point, they might not work for you.
No.
You throw, it could be completely different. And oh, by the way, you could be in a completely different area than where they throw.
Yeah. Well,
right. I know that
the board conditions and just everything just changes the whole let's say the whole gamut, because I can't think of any other word, but it's everything. Like, if you got humidity, you got the weather, whatever, you throw it outside, and that's why I talked to a trade about last week about this whole PPR stuff. Not to get off topic, but that's what I do. The whole PPR stuff after throwing a deck around was that high PPR when they were inside? Was it when they were outside? Was it, your whole different conditions? So your PPR really isn't the same.
Well, but you look at it last year. I think was it last year or the year before? I know it was during COVID, so I'm not sure if it was this summer that just passed or the summer before that. ACL through a tournament. I think it was Atlanta. I'm not really sure, so Don't quote me on the city. But 99% of the games were thrown under the stadium, in sheltered conditions. And then for the broadcast board, you had to come outside on the turf in like 90+ degree weather and wind to play. So even that inside the tournament, it's changing conditions based on what you're used to throwing.
Yep.
Right?
And then you got the finals of that tournament. Then you're throwing back underneath a tent over top of a lake.
Yeah, that was the washed-out, right? That was the one where Noah was throwing through a river, right?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with them and the product. It has everything to do with the conditions, right? The conditions change. Even this weekend, where they played in Kentucky, right? Yeah. Matt Guy's home state. He knows the conditions. He knows how to play there. For, I think, the last couple games, he had to switch bags. I think he finally switched to maybe it was the incinerator at the end. I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah.
But, like, the conditions can change from board to board, right? Kentucky's probably pretty cold right now. If you're near the door, the boards can be cold. If you're deeper in the venue, the boards could be warm and play very differently. So, these guys have the ability to change. A lot of us out there don't have that ability. I know I don't. Listen, I am king of the floor bagger, where all floor bags are on the floor and they don't go through that cute little hole.
Yeah, no, and that's where Jamie Cowan gave me the name CornDoug, because that's all I threw. I was only throwing like 26 3/4 feet. I was not hitting that front. So if you look at any of the boards up at Octane when I'm up there throwing, you will see down and back of CornDoug is on the bottom of the board, underneath the lip. It's down there, and I usually just play a game of cover the logo. That's all I do.
Listen, it happens. Listen, I throw a lot of shorties because I try to slide. And especially when I'm in a blind jar and I have to play with other people's bags, right? Yeah. Especially. There's a couple bags out there I just can't make work, right? I know there's a lot of people out there that love Vipers and throw them. That bag, especially when you get to Viper C, I think it is, Viper B and C, they're way too fast for me. So I'm literally trying to hit the edge of the board, and a lot of times I'll miss because I'm just afraid of the bag flying. Yeah. I'll land it short. But when you really think about it, though, when you start talking about, Team Octane, they've got some, they brought on some pretty big powerhouses to that team.
Well, yeah. And then Matt, we're recording here in advance, and Matt brought that video out today. So there's, Robert Spheri's back. He's been kind of the one go-to because he's played a lot up here with us, and he's helped us out a lot up here. PJ Sorrow's back. I think he's just throwing Octane for his singles. I don't think he's throwing him in the doubles because he's like the lone wolf down in BG country down there now. He's the he's throwing those because he's down in Texas area.
Yeah. But is that BG country?
It was for a bit. It was for maybe not anymore when he first went down there. But yeah, and then the couple Canadian guys now that are going to be on there being Rick Wiersma out of Dundas, who's going to be I don't want to say a silent assassin, but he's going to show a lot of people what he can do. Steve Pohl's another quiet guy, but another great player. And then Jamie Cowan is just Jamie Cowan. We'll see how he does in Vegas because he's a little down right now. I've beat him again this weekend, so I've now beat him twice this year out of about 200 games.
Wait, when we talked to him the other night, he was very confident, though. So
yeah, and that confidence has been shattered. Sorry, Jamie.
Well, Well, the hard part too, but the hard part for, I know in Canada you guys are considered international pros, but let's be honest, it's part of the Americas. Don't give me this international crap. You're still part of, I consider you still part of regular ACL, but it's kind of hurt some of the players up there because they haven't been able to travel.
Yeah.
Right.
And with that too, they're considered international pros, but they still have to go through the PD. So they're actually only in the PDC. So they have to go through that qualifying tournament in Vegas, the 4 that are going down there. So they have to go through that.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at it right now. So if you look at the world standings, right? You look at Jamie is ranked 1406. Steve is ranked 1709. You've got Halfpenny ranked 1224, right? The only reason some of these guys have their ranking is because they haven't been able to play, right? They're only relying on their Canadian standings. They haven't really been able to go down. I mean, some of the people that have been able to travel a little bit is you've got, Dean Lang in the world right now is ranked 118. And you got Brandon Brown at 361. But they're the two that got to travel a little bit. They also got to play in USA Cornhole, I believe, also, right?
Brandon was just been down there for the one in Kentucky. I know he's made a couple trips over to Buffalo as well too. For some of their tournaments.
Yeah, but I think Buffalo is more of a regional / like local points.
Yeah.
So it's not really going to affect his world standing as much as some of the bigger stuff. So I mean, that's hurt a little bit. I mean, because I know we've talked for the last 2.5 years, really, and the border was shut down for so long that you couldn't get across and you couldn't play in different places where. In Toronto, you guys are right there, just above, like the Michigan area. So you can travel back and forth. You can get over to Niagara, in a pretty short drive.
Yep.
But it's hurt a lot of people not being up there, not being able to play on the bigger stage.
Yep.
And next weekend, big kickoff. So a lot of them are probably going to Vegas.
We've got, there's 4 of them that are going to Vegas. So there's Brandon Brown, Tracy DeCoste, Jamie Cowan, and then the guy that I'm looking for who was on the show last week, and one of your sponsors, Brendan Greba's got to really check this guy out because he just throws Titan bags, and he's the only qualifier coming in that was from an actual live event. So he went I think he went 5-1 in rounders for there, beating Brandon Brown, beating a bunch of people, and then coming close with Dean Lang. So he's a guy, and I think he was even with Jamie Cowan here the last weekend. I didn't get a chance to go and see him. Jamie was like, I think that's what hurt Jamie because Bernie was just like a machine. So he's one guy that I really want to see in Vegas, but Brendan with Titan bags, check him out. He's been trying to get some sort of thing. He just wants a hat or a shirt to wear. Check him out in Vegas, but I think he's going to be one to watch.
Well, some of the boys from Titan might be out there. So, tell him to look for, Daniel Strouser. Look for Bruce Hawkins will probably be there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Brandon's making his way out. But if you don't get in touch with them, Bernie, because you're ranked 3463 in the world right now, and it's only because you haven't been able to play, hit me up. Meet me on the Book of Face. I'll get you in touch with the boys.
Exactly, yeah, because and you know what, and it's not. I'm looking, and we've said like before, like some of these guys haven't been on camera. They're not, it's they need to work on that. And if you've seen Bernie on the show last week, Bernie's he's ready to go. Like he's ready to do anything. He'll talk. He loves to talk. That's his thing, and he's ready to go. And for a guy who's just started playing, like he'd only played in his first actual tournament months before the qualifier. And then he goes and blows everybody away in the qualifier. So it's
and I think when you saw the USA Cornhole match on, I believe it was on CBS,
NBC, because
is it NBC?
Because that shut NBCSN down. They ceased existence after that.
No, but you look at it was Moondog.
Yep, Mike.
I'm not even going to attempt his last name because I will butcher the hell out of it.
Like I said, my first game calling a game with KW at a regional, him and his brother came down and they were my first game. So I didn't know which one was Joe, which one was Mike. And I'm like, I don't even want this last name.
But I mean, they drew a really good game, and they were throwing really well up until that. But you know, the lights just got. I think the lights got to them a little bit, right? I mean, it's a little nerve wracking. I mean, they should have beat the people they played, but
well, and you know what? In Mike's defense, and I said this with Trey last week, was that up until about a month before that, I was at a regional the month before that with him, and he was throwing left-handed because he had a broken right arm. So he hadn't been throwing with his strong arm for that long before going down there to play. So, you know, for the showing that he had, I don't think it was all that bad.
They threw a great game. I mean, it looked like a couple bags were skipping past the hole, and you know, on that kind of stage, you miss one or two right or left, it's going to get in your head, and you know, it takes a lot to reset and get back in the game. And you know, they held their own, and I think they did great.
Well, and even you know, because I know that Dean, the doubles game with Dean, they were throwing Dean's all slides, and I know that Mike is an Apex and a Nitro guy, right? So he's throwing bags he doesn't normally throw. I forget what bags that Jackie throws, but he was throwing Jackie's bags. That's another bag that he'd never thrown before. So that's that thing. When you get in that big stage, you've got to know what all the bags do.
Yeah. Oh, that was his partner, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was Dean for the doubles, and then Jackie for the mix. I think they made a quick switch. It was supposed to be Maya, I think, but I think there was a quick switch. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So I mean, listen, the game's getting bigger. The game's blowing up. I know there's they haven't released the full schedule yet for the entire year. I think there's a lot more stuff coming up, so I think it's going to be a real interesting year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, when we come down to it, I would love to see what's going to happen next year with the bags, because, you know, there's so many people putting bags in there and, you know, paying to get everything in there and get it qualified and get it going. I'll be interested to see what's happening, you know, because listen, even this year we've had 3 pros drop out already.
Yep.
3 pros have already dropped out. We've had 4 or 5 pros switch teams and sponsors part of the way through the season. And, you know, some of these pros might be a little screwed because I think they're past the deadline for their jerseys. So if they ordered a jersey, they may have an old sponsor on it. So you might have to do the old duct tape over the old sponsor on TV if you make it. So, you know, it's becoming more and more interesting. The game is becoming a little more and more corporate every day.
Yep.
So, you know me, I'm big on loyalty. I stay true to the people that take care of us. And when we say take care of us, it's the people we talk to, because people, there's no money in cornhole podcasting.
I wish. My wife reminds me of that all the time. I think you know, kind of heard what you guys have put in and what the Ass Brothers are doing. I'm like, I think I bought like 10 flags that were like $100 and a couple bags that were like that. I'm like, I may have about $300 into the show. I got a borrowed camera, borrowed mic from Octane, and that's how I'm going.
I'm a little deeper than that, Doug. I've got a couple microphones. I've got a couple GoPros. I've got my MacBook Pro. I am actually getting ready to order, as long as my wife doesn't see my credit card bill. I want to get the Rodecaster, which is it's a mixing board where you can actually just record the podcast right on that.
Yeah.
And have, you know, a lot of stuff that goes with that. So we'll see what happens there. But, you know, the big thing, as we started talking about in the beginning, is I'm looking to go a lot more multimedia, right? I'm looking to do a lot more traveling. I put a video out today on my YouTube channel, The Voice of Cornhole. I want to do a lot more traveling, but I want to do it my way. I want to be able to talk about the 4 Bs. My 4 Bs are bags, boards, beer, and bikes, because, you know, it's my 4 passions.
Yep.
You know, I want to continue to, you know, just have fun in this game. You know, I don't consider what we do a job right now, because to me it's still more fun and it's exciting, and we get to meet some amazing people.
For sure.
You know, through this journey, I've gotten to talk to almost everybody in cornhole, kind of the who's who of cornhole, from, you know, the owner of Spencer McKenzie's to the guys from SWAT Cornhole to Maddie King, Brandon Greba, Jeff Reynolds, Trey, Stacy, Jason McCannon, Matt. So I've gotten to meet the who's who of cornhole, and it's been a great journey.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that journey's not over yet. I'm going to keep it going.
Oh yeah, and we talked about sponsors. I've already talked about one sponsor, but when you're on the road and you need to hear, you got to get yourself a set of earbuds from myearfun.com. Discount code CornDoug will get you 20% off there. You can get a waterproof Bluetooth speaker, which is, I usually have a hard time saying that, but I can say it now. Put it by the pool. You can have it out in the rain while you're playing cornhole in the rain, or in the snow, like they're having Canadians playing cornhole in the snow up here in some virtual tournaments. Everyone's like, well, why aren't you playing it? And it's like, I don't want to play outside in the cold.
Yeah, it's Doug. I dropped the kids off at school yesterday. It was -1. Yeah, that's not happening.
No. And then my other sponsor, you'll see him in Vegas, JC Cornhole, jccornhole.com. You can call and ask him for a discount code. I'm not sure. It depends on how many siders he's in, whether he's going to be nice to you and give you a discount, but he's there. And then if you're in Alberta, Sierra Home, it's in coming across here. Darren will help you on any of your property inspections. He'll let you know where the best place to store your cornhole boards in your house if you're in Alberta. And then a new one who has come on for this show here. If you're in North Carolina, in the Outer Banks, check out Bank Surf Supply. He'll hook you up with anything you need at the beach. I don't know if you can be at the beach now, but go see Todd and he will hook you up with whatever you need for your whatever you need for. I've never surfed, but whatever you need to surf.
Well, it's not just surf. You've probably got like some floaties and stuff.
He's got the whole gamut there. So just go and check out Todd down at Bank Surf Supply in the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Listen, for someone like me, he probably has umbrellas because I usually spend my entire day at the beach under an umbrella because I'll burst into flames.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I've got a really bad story that my wife tried to put sunscreen on me. I ended up looking like Barney with a handprint on my stomach.
Doug, I have 3 colors in the summertime. It's white, red, and peeling.
Yeah. But so we've talked about cornhole coming up, and off here we kind of talked about how is Matt Guy going to have a breakup because he's been like second place to, I don't know, I guess like the other years, the Opens now have kind of been like that unknown player has kind of come up and, taken some like, I'm not sure Alex Hicks was an unknown player. Everyone knew about him, but no one was expecting him to win an Open. We talk about Alan Rawls being the other Rawls brother. And then Richards this weekend, who was virtually unknown outside of Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the big thing right now, I think right now this plays into some of the higher level pros game right now. Even though a lot of them haven't had like a ton of success, right? They've all been right there. Yep. Matt Guy has been second place in singles, 3 or 4 times now, right? You've got Trey Birchfield, who has taken 3 different partners to 3 different finals, I think it is right now.
I think he's the new Eric Davis.
Yeah, but you've got Eric Davis there. I mean, Listen, Eric Davis had 3 or 4 bags that maybe hung up in the hole and a bit off. So some of these players that have been picked in the beginning of the season to be the great players are still the players at the beginning of the season because it hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
this was all warm up for them. This was all pocket cash and Bud Light money, right? Yeah. So although they all want to win every single time they get on the boards, there were no real point repercussions to them because it didn't affect their pro status, right? So now this weekend in Vegas is truly going to show who has put in the work, right? And there's a lot of them right there that put in the work to get where they know they should be and where they want to be. So I think this weekend coming up is going to be, not this one coming up, the one after, is going to be a little crazy. I think you're going to see some really intense games. When you talk some of these games this weekend went 80 rounds.
Yeah, and I put it up on the Down and Back Facebook page, is that one Group D and that one part of the bracket is like is it easier just to throw a dart at the board to figure out who's going to win? Because that one spot you've got Alex Rawls, Cheyenne Renner, Matt Guy, Jeff Reynolds, Cameron Belvin, Nate Boyer, and then Ben Biagini and Alec Ryan. Who's coming out of that part of that bracket?
Well, but then that's the hard part, right? You've got like I know there was a lot of stuff that went back and forth online because I know you posted some stuff, the Big Ass Boys posted some stuff. Everybody's kind of posting their predictions, and people are like, well, it's all pros, so it should be good. Well, it's not. Sometimes you get a crappy draw, right? Mm-hmm. There was a great meme on the Book of Face this week where someone put up, it was Forrest Gump's face, and like when he's got that dumb look on his face, and he's like, I paid $600, drove 7 hours, and I'm playing my next door neighbor at a national, right? But and that's what it's going to be like for some of these pros. It's like I paid all this money to go to Vegas, or my sponsors paid all this money to go to Vegas, and now I'm playing the same 4 people I play every time, right? But I'm playing them in round 1 or 2. I'm not playing them in round 10. This is not a bracket final.
Yep.
I'm playing them at the beginning of it. And that's where I think as the pro division goes on, it's going to get harder and harder because there's going to be a lot of great pros that are going to be in the losers bracket right after the first round. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to battle back. Some of them like it because they get to play more games, but it's going to hurt some of them.
Oh, yeah. And especially in this, they're not doing the rounders format for this, are they? No. But in the rounders format, we kind of looked at it with our qualifying for the ACL Canada Pro qualifier that was in Niagara, and we were kind of looking at it with some players, and there were some players that were in it that when you're playing rounders, because you're always playing against someone who's got almost the same record, right? So there were some people that went and they may have been playing a weaker player their first game, but they lost that game, which gave them a little easier way to a final to be up there. Because there was one where if they lost their first game, they then avoided Brandon Brown, Dean Lang, Bertie Portalessi. So there's is there that advantage to losing your first game?
You don't
want it to be.
Yeah, I don't want it to be. I would rather face them in the first round and potentially, win or lose to them to see where I stand, and then work on some stuff as I was coming through the losers bracket. Yeah, it's never going to happen for me. I'm usually 0-2 every tournament, but I'd like to see them. I would love to see them in in the winners bracket just to see what I can do to go bag for bag or point for point or see how what their strategy is at that moment in time. But yeah, there are some people that will drop down just to drop down, having a bad game and come through the losers bracket and want to do that double dip at the end. Yep. But I think Matt Guy got hurt by that a couple times. Like this weekend hurt him a little bit because I believe he did drop down in the losers bracket and had to come back, and he had to play a couple extra games. And when you're playing at that level, a Matt Guy level, and you're playing an extra 5 or 6 games in singles, and then you get another 5 or 6 games in doubles, that wears on you, especially where the last couple opens were back to back to back.
Yep.
So you're playing like 2 or 3 weekends, and that can be a little wearing on the body. I don't care how old, young, in shape, not in shape you are. That takes a toll.
Well, what's the thing is, do you want to be the one to keep playing, or do you want to be the one that gets that? Or at times you may get an hour and a half, almost 2 hour break between while you're waiting after that King Seat game for all those other games to catch up. It's that
that's the rub. That's the rub because you don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need that mental break just to kind of get out of it a little bit, and sometimes you need to keep going, right? So I think it depends on the tournament and how you're feeling with some of these guys because this is really starting to become a mental game for the pros. The muscle memory's there.
Yep.
Now it's coming down to that mental, mental math now and how to keep it together during good and bad times on the boards.
Yeah, because I know for myself, that affects me. You get those couple of bad bags and you're gone. and for them to be doing it on that stage, if you get into a rut, you're really trying to dig out of there.
Listen, Matt Guy, I think, lost the game where he threw 108 bags. It was like, what, 103 in, 4 on, 1 off, and still lost.
Yep.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I think that's when I think Alex beat him, right? Was it right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, even at that top of the game, just those little bit, that 5 bag mistake can still cost you a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, but it happens. And, and these guys are playing for, way more money than we'll ever be playing for, Doug,
Yep.
Because
that's still the thing that we are tackling up here with ACL Canada is we're still new. We're still got that whole backyard feel, and it's bringing those people out of the backyard into the inside to that you can play for some big money.
But the problem, the one thing I've talked about ad nauseum also on when we were on the Dogcast is the hard part is when you're at that level, because that's where New England was, a year ago, right? A year and a half ago, right? We're nowhere near where like Kentucky is or the Mid Atlantic is, because they've been around forever. But if the people that are playing aren't welcoming, are wearing their earphones, aren't talking to people, or pissing and moaning about losing a game or missing a bag or getting a bad blind draw partner or, it's switch Holio and I need to lose this game by 5 or win by 12 to get where I want to be seated, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there it's trash because that's not helping. That's not going to help grow the game in your area.
Yeah.
As much as I hate that statement, it's not going to do it because, when you look at it, if I see somebody with a jersey on, I think they've played a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that person is throwing temper tantrums or, not being welcoming, and, I know most of the pros, some of the lower pros that just started or some of the people in the PDC, I might not know them as well, but, the top 200, I would know by name or by face.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to be one of those people, you can't be that person that is not welcoming to other people, because the tournaments aren't going to grow in the area. The money's not going to grow in the area. And, oh, by the way, you're not going to get sponsors. You're just not going to get sponsors because it's coming down to that social media presence and that likability. It's not just about selling bags or boards for a sponsor. It's about how do you interact with them? How can you help them? It's not just about they're going to give you money, you're going to throw bags, and they're going to see your bags on ESPN or CBS or NBC. It doesn't work that way. It's a much bigger relationship in the end.
Well, yeah, and we have seen that up here. We've had some leagues where they were growing, they were getting people out there, and then all of a sudden someone sees that this league is growing and there might be a chance, a bit more money to be, they can go and grab some money there, so they'll come out and then just keep the head in the phone and just, okay, I got a game, I got to go up and play. They win it all and they're taking the money back elsewhere, and then that club then just becomes non-existent because everyone's left because they don't want to go out and just donate to this other great player that comes in.
Yeah, it starts to dwindle. I mean, the biggest downfall I've seen up here in the Northeast is airmail. The airmail pots.
Yep.
I know there's a couple clubs up here that don't even put up anymore how much the airmail pots are because they get so big, and then people show up just to bully the airmail pot. Right? You'll see, pros and you see people that are really good and, put in a couple $100 just to come and, basically steal the money.
Mm-hmm.
I even know a couple clubs around here that have put in rules that says you can't buy airmail if you haven't been there for so many weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not there for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, you can't buy in.
Yep.
Some people put in, you have to be part of the club to buy airmail that night if it's at a certain, and I like those things because I think it protects the experience for the people that are there, the people that go there. But it also protects the people that want to come out and play. One of the most successful things that happened last year was one of our friends, Mikey Curran, who runs Corn Stars here up in Manchester, New Hampshire. He was playing outdoors during the summer, and he was getting, 100, 150 people on a Tuesday night because he ran a competitive and an advanced thing. And based on if he knew you, who you were, how many times you played, you either went down to, the competitive, where the people had an amazing time. I would have much rather play down there because they had way more fun than playing up in the advanced division where everybody takes it too serious and is worried about winning $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it comes down to, listen, we're throwing beanbags, friends.
Yeah.
We're throwing beanbags.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. Let's support the companies we support. Let's support the charities in the area that we support. Let's take care of some people. I know in a couple weeks I'm playing in a tournament with a pro, Richard Bushway, who used to play with Mr. PJ Sorrow and throw octane bags. We're playing in a tournament at Salisbury Beach here in Massachusetts for people that their house burnt down like a month ago. So it's a tournament to kind of donate back. They're donating the elementary school gym to us. And they're letting us kind of play a big tournament in there to donate some money and raffles and, take care of, these families that were displaced to kind of get them back on their feet. So, that's what it's about. That's what this community should be about, is about helping the people around us and, helping each other. Not, I won Tuesday night, here's my first place picture.
I used to play a couple other sports, and we used to call them like the Tuesday night heroes that would come in and just, they're the pros. They got to show everyone else. And it's like, in the end, any league night is just a rec league. Unless it's a big tournament, a league night is just a rec league.
That's all it is. Have fun, kids. Throw bags. Have fun. Have a couple beers if that's what you do. If not, have a couple Poland Springs. Have some fun. Meet some great people. And, go home with some great memories.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect way to wrap this up, is just, tell them to have fun, because that's what we do. And hopefully you'll come back and make another appearance soon, maybe even make it a regular thing, possibly.
Yeah, listen, I'm up for it anytime, CornDoug. I love you to death. Listen, we're going to get together soon. I know we have some plans. We have some plans to meet up in a couple different places. So, friends, we will be posting on social media where you can come to maybe a tournament near you, maybe a race near you, to meet
possibly, yeah,
two legends in the game.
You can maybe call me a half, because but yeah, it's it's going to be fun, and I know we talked about even going to the race, and for that there, I got to say, before I end it off here, I lost a dear friend, the guy who actually got me my start playing cornhole and my moonshine that first night. Mike Cleveland out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, which is, I think he lives across the street from Heath, but lost him Sunday night, and I know that's a big hole for me. So, all the best to his family, and again, as always, watch over those people throwing gas, because they probably not going to be me, might be some of the guys in Vegas. They might kick your ass.